Yeah, and welcome to the Smooth Live Show, sponsored by SmoothJazz Melbourne. Welcome, Evan Carydakis, to the program, mate. It's great to have you here. It is formerly the Australian premiere of Evan Carydakis and Moving On, his brand new single release. But before we get you talking, Evan, thank you for jumping on, and I just want to welcome our viewers from across the globe, internationally, and obviously in Melbourne, Australia, and Tasmania. Don't forget to jump on and click and subscribe, yeah? And press that notification bell. Make sure you press it. Why? Because next time we get a lot more performances and artists that come on the show, you'll be notified. And also look at and check out my socials, and I'll bring up the socials page shortly. But let me just say how excited I am, absolutely excited. But I am more excited at the fact that the critics, mate, and I want to bring this up, Evan, because we've had you on the show about just after a little bit over 12 months ago. They call you Mr. Evan Carydakis, international recording artist, smooth jazz musician. They call you Punchy. They call you Powerhouse and Horn Magic. Mr. Evan Carydakis, welcome to the Smooth Live Show.
Oh, thanks, Paul. That's very, very humbling and very flattering. I just want to thank you personally for your support, especially with Groove House and now with Moving On. And to have a show like yours in Melbourne, a leading show, and be doing a world premiere from my ex-hometown, I'm wrapped. Thank you for having me on, mate.
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure. And it's an honor because, if you know, as you know, mate, and I'm sure as a lot of our viewers know, across the globe, there's a lot more activity from the United States. Smooth jazz is that genre that really, it's come out from the other side of the world. But I can say, mate, I am so proud that not just Evan Carydakis, but we have a little nest egg of great performers here in Australia. But you're certainly one of our leads, mate, one of our keys, and we've got to look after you because you are in Tassie, and you were Melbourne. I want to bring this up. I was just watching the last show. That's just over 12 months ago.
Yeah.
And I want to bring this pick up for you, mate, because I want you just, if it's okay, because I know it's the Australian premiere of your new single release, Moving On. I just want to show our viewers what Tassie's all about, because people probably say, "Can you see that? Can you see that image?"
That's beautiful, Paul.
How gorgeous is it? And I just thought for the global eccentric, have a look at this. This is Tasmania, Australia. Well, it's Tasmania, yeah, right. So,
and it's that beautiful in real life, folks. My wife and I, we travel with our beautiful dog, our beautiful Kelpie, and we go to the East Coast and all those beautiful areas. And that beach, it's just as pretty in real life.
It's
just
amazing.
Very, very beautiful.
Mate, can I say, Evan, a few trips that I've made over to Tassie, and you fly over that part, I'm pretty sure it is. You just see, or when you go into Hobart, it's one of those memories I have ingrained in my mind, flying through the clouds, the sun coming through, and you're seeing the Bay of Hobart, and just thinking to myself, it's just absolutely epic. But I guess let's see and you're happy in Tassie? Everything's sorted out after COVID. I mean, obviously, I don't think we've sort of done a show since post-COVID sort of activity, but everything's panned out properly here in Tassie. All going well.
Everything's settled down now, and I think people are getting on with life and realizing that it's something we're just going to have to deal with. And get on with life. Respect yourself and respect your fellow. Respect your community, but just let's get on with life, folks. I think that's where we're at now.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome, mate. And 100% agree with you on that. Wow, folks, if you're wherever you're catching us from, I'd love for you to interact with us. Evan's online. Obviously, it's great with the technology today because we can chat. You can see the big fella on the back screen there. He's just about ready to put the performance. I want to talk to you a little bit about that performance there, Evan, a little bit later. But, folks, Australian premiere of your new and latest single, Moving On, mate, released August 12th. Can I read out a couple of the charts? Are you okay if I
go for your life?
Give you a little bit of background, or give our viewers a little bit of background on that. So currently, 2021 on the Smooth Jazz chart, bound under 30s, which is really awesome. 49 current place on the radio smoothjazz.com radio chart. Mate, stunning. And can I just say, from where you've started with releasing in 2021 the Groove House EP to where you are today? What leaps and bounds? And the critics are saying that, mate, you've actually set the road forward. Your path set forward for smooth jazz. Congratulations, well done.
I know it's to read some of those reviews has been pretty humbling. You know, it's you know, like Sue Parker said, it takes a village. So my producer brother really has been a hard taskmaster, but he's got my back, and he's got me up to a level now that I think our next few releases will notch up from where we are here. I think having Patrick Yandel on guitar on this release was an incredible hookup by Sue. And then I was lucky enough to get a gentleman called Michael Whitaker on keyboards from Nashville. And I just can't put into words the savvy that guy's got as far as music is concerned. He's got more savvy in his little toe than I have in my whole body. He's just brilliant.
Absolutely. How did you come across setting yourself up with such great performers? And if you're wherever you are and you've just heard Evan Carydakis, if you've heard his music, you look on the background there on that the pic that the back splashes, you call it, sought after festival performer, 5-time arts recipient grant. And exactly what they're saying, punchy powerhouse. How did you pick people like that to celebrate or play on your current single release?
That's a good question. It's interesting how those hookups come about. I mean, Patrick was really a hookup with Sue. Poor Sue, she gets so many emails from everyone, and she's just so she's got so much patience, so much time, and she hooked that one up, and she's got a knack and a savvy to know what goes with what.
Yeah, the right blend.
And if you know, Patrick's a guy who's got his own Wikipedia sort of entry, you know, and to hook that up was just brilliant. And then you know that Michael Whitaker was not our first choice in a sense, because we went to one guy was busy. Went to another guy was busy. Went to another guy, out of our budget. Went to another guy, you're busy. And I said, okay. I spoke to Warren Keller from Spontaneous Grooving Combustion. You know, right, Warren.
Yes.
He's just had a great hit. I think what was his last single? Was it Chicago Morning?
Correct. Yep.
And he said, well, the guy who produced his single, who was the great guitarist from Smooth Jazz, the other great guitarist, I forget his name now, doesn't come to mind. But he said, we've used this guy before, Michael Whitaker. Why don't you give him a, shout out? And I emailed him, mentioned the budget, and he said, well, would you be happy to do it for this much? And I said, absolutely. So we just gave him the parts.
Right.
And about a week later, he came back with not only his keyboard parts, but 4 other parts from a production's perspective. So we was already thinking about the song from a production perspective.
Phenomenal.
And everything that he gave us made the song greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
wow.
So whilst he wasn't our first choice, he will be our first choice from now on. The guy's brilliant.
Yeah, perfect fit.
Perfect fit. The guy is brilliant. I can't speak highly enough of him and Patrick.
But isn't that the case, Evan, when you're, as I use that term again, perfect fit, but it's the right people in the right places. And sometimes your plan not necessarily ends up to where you wanted it, perhaps in your own mind or your thought or your template or your process, but it's come into a place where it's been a great outcome.
Yeah, it's funny how it happens. Sue Parker just told me, just put it out there and trust in it, she said, and it'll happen. And she was
nice.
right.
Nice. Mate, striving for your best self. I love this. Living in the moment. This is really the celebration behind, never looking back. It's the celebration behind your new single, Moving On. So I love your thought, or that soul, because there's obviously a real soul element to your music, and I'm sure with everyone else as well. but never looking back, striving for the best and living in the moment. What's going on here for Moving On?
Well, being your best self means you can only be as good as you can be. So it's about really finally, for me, sort of finding my own voice, and something I should have done a lot earlier on in my career, and a mate of mine here, Brendan Simpson, he plays with me live. He is a beautiful guitarist and a brilliant player. I think he was telling me that for a long time, and I'm glad I'm there now. And that's what it's about. It's about you can't be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
Just be who you are. That's what that is. And I guess never looking back is about you are where you are. For whatever reason, you are where you are. So all the decisions you made in your life have come to this point. So you can look back in a sense and learn, but I don't look back and ever regret. I'm just happy of where I am. That's what it's about.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. Guys, if you just jumped online, we're chatting with Evan Carydakis, jazz musician, international smooth jazz recording artist. Let me just say, from Tassie. And it's the Australian premiere of his brand new single release, which is Moving On, which we'll play shortly. Evan, the JW Vibe quotes, "Jazz world gets the first taste of the local, soulful, cosmopolitan saxophonist Evan Carydakis." Mate, you're getting some notes out there, and you've been around for a while, mate.
I know, I'm like a dinosaur.
You look pretty good for a dinosaur, mate. Absolutely awesome. Jonathan Widran, a musical journalist from Chicago, also notes, becoming a major force in smooth jazz. And can I say it, that's probably today's word or sentence for you, is you're becoming a major force in smooth jazz. And this is your second, I guess, key release, Moving On. And I'm sure our viewers are looking forward to listening to the music shortly, if you haven't already heard it, but becoming a major force in smooth jazz. How does that make you feel?
It's pretty humbling, especially coming from, he's based in Chicago, and he's
correct.
He's listened to a lot of music in his life, and he's done quite a few reviews for Jazz World Monthly and Music World Monthly as well. And for that to come from him is pretty humbling. But it's not just my efforts. It's certainly my determination, but it's everyone else around me that's helped me get there, I guess. And I guess you drag them along with you. If you keep getting knocked down, and you just have to keep getting up. That's what it's about. Keep getting up, keep improving. How can I make this better? How can that sound better? That's what it's about. You got to squeeze every inch out of yourself before you release your song. You got to squeeze every last inch. So yeah, that's what it's about, and it's very humbling to hear that. And we're already working on our next set of 3 songs, which will either be singles or we'll release a little EP. But I'm going to speak to Sue Parker about that in the coming months. But we've started working on the next lot of songs, which is very exciting.
Well, mate, give us the breaking news. Okay, is there going to be a vocal part from you, Evan Carydakis, or you got a vocalist coming on, or who are some of the guest artists?
Well, I really think we haven't thought about that yet, but I really think we're going to call back on Michael and Patrick. I think on Groovehouse we went out to have sort of that crossover vocal song, but we ran into Thomas Lorenzo. I remembered his name now, Paul, on guitar. So we used him for Majorca, a beautiful Spanish guitarist who's played with Chick Corea, and he played that beautiful part on Majorca. And I thought, yep, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that as it is. It doesn't need saxophone. It doesn't need anything. It's just beautiful playing. And I thought after that, I couldn't really put 2 songs on the album without saxophone. So we left that as it was. But the next 3 are probably, I wouldn't say won't involve vocals, but we haven't thought about that yet. But if it's not the next 3, I think with the next lot of songs after that, we definitely want to look at having a vocal on, and it'll be about finding the right fit. And probably I'll call on Sue again for that when the time comes.
Absolutely. Well, if you go to the right fit, if we just take a look at your, the backsplash, and you see Evan Carydakis on the horns there. Tell us a little bit about the experience there on the live stage.
Oh, you mean
so
there?
That was where?
That was at a festival called Monofona here in Tasmania, and they had a particular evening. It was the Friday night, and they invited some special guests up to render their version of My Favourite Things. You remember that song from The Sound of Music?
Yep.
And it was also made famous in jazz circles, I guess, on John Coltrane's album of the same name. So there was international artists from pop, from rock, from grunge, and we were the jazz representation of that evening. And we did we did our own rendition of that song, really loosely based on Coltrane's version of My Favourite Things. But on that stage there, you see that guitarist there, that's Brendan Simpson, who's my long-time compatriot here in Tassie, who I strictly use on guitar. He's a beautiful player. That bass player there is Ben Brinkoff, who's not touring on me for the next tour that we're doing. He's not touring with me, but I mean, if I could have a bass player, it'd be him. He's absolutely a beautiful player. And the drummer you can't see was Andrew Dennis, who's now moved interstate. But that was on stage at about, I think, 7:00 in the evening, and in front of about 2,500 to 3,000 people. So it was an absolutely great show.
You love performing, don't you?
Oh yeah. Especially on stages like that, massive stages. You've got the big screens. You've got a massive crowd. You've got fold back left, right, and centre. The front of the house is huge. You can't beat it.
Can't beat it. Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, it's live. We love live, right? I'm going to talk to you. Love live. Yeah, we're going to talk to you a little bit about the Groove House tour, which is coming up in October. But when you think about, well, in actual fact, in the Groove House tour, are you going to be dropping in moving on?
It's the first song. It's the first song of set 2.
Set 2, is it?
Yep, it's the first song of set 2, and yes, as well as supporting the 2021 release Groove House, we'll be dropping the new single in that, and I'm already planning a Moving On tour for early 2023, January through probably May.
Wow.
But Groove House will be probably limited to this year, starting in October, as you said. It's a theatre tour, so probably 200 to 300 seat venues, and I'm very much looking forward to that.
That's awesome. Can't wait to hear about it. So let's go with it to Moving On. Let's play the track, the latest single release, and it's the Australian premiere. We're very, very delighted to be able to share this on SmoothJazz Melbourne and on the Smooth Live show. So we thank you so much, Evan, for making that happen. Allowing us to make that happen. So here it is, and I'm going to bring up the front cover shortly, but we'll kick it off here. Brand new from the great man himself, international smooth jazz recording artist. Here he is, Evan Carydakis. go. Oh, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
the Australian premiere of Moving On. Single release, Evan Carydakis. Oh, yeah, mate. Welcome back. How good is that? I mean, how good is the palette of your sound? I just love it. I mean, it's just so distinctive. And it's just amazing, man. I really, it's a leap forward. It's a major leap forward from Groove House. It's another evolution, to be honest. I love it.
My brother Steph says it's because of the performance, because I did a good performance in the studio, and that's the hardest. Well, he's taught me that's the hardest thing to capture, and I agree with him. It's about capturing that performance in the studio. Very hard to do. Some guys do it easier than others. If you look at those CTI guys in smooth jazz, that the Lee Ritnows and Larry Carltons, they used to turn up to the studio and play like the wind. Those guys are totally amazing, But
sure.
Compared to them, I'm at the other end of the scale, sort of at the bottom end, trying to work my way up as far as studio performances. But certainly that one was pretty happy with that one.
So there's a little bit of boundary. So when you go walk in the studio, a little bit of hesitation because you're used to the live element. You love the big crowds and so on. So was it a major adjustment for you?
Yeah, definitely it was. And my brother, who's my producer, always used to say, just play in the studio how you play live. Easier said than done.
How many takes?
Let me tell you something. I would have played that melody not in the studio, but leading up to it hundreds of times. Maybe it sounds better playing it like that. Maybe it sounds better playing like that. But in the studio, I would have done on different days, 10, 20 takes and listen back. Oh, that didn't sound good. Listen back. That didn't 10, 20 takes over a month.
Wow.
And then you peel back and you say, yeah, that's not bad. That's not good. And at the end of the day, I know I didn't choose the last take that I did. It was a particular take on a particular day that just hit the spot.
Right.
Yeah. So I remember it was about, the last take. I remember the last take I did. And afterwards we went back and said, no, it was a take I did about 2 weeks earlier. That's the take. And that's the one that we used.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeez.
So I tried to squeeze as much as I could out of it, but I guess there was a certain point where it just leveled off, and I wasn't getting any more. But I was very happy with the way that came out.
So that'd be the general. Put out a number of takes, and then you choose, obviously the best one, which is the one we heard,
Yeah.
which is moving on. Yeah. And you write the music. We mentioned a little bit earlier about never looking back, striving for the best, living in the moment. And you're putting together this. I just think it's intriguing. I mean, how you can write music like that and come up with such a result. It just blows me away. But anyway, that's why I'm in radio. I push it out, push the music out, man. I can't write it.
But I write in two different ways. I write from a point of discipline, where, say, for example, okay, between 8 and 9 o'clock today, I'm going to sit down on the computer and write a song. Or start writing a song, or from the point of inspiration.
Okay.
Believe it or not, that song was written from a point of discipline. So I had to write, I was writing 3 songs for a COVID concert we did in the middle of last year. And that was one of the 3 songs. Obviously, to get into the studio, we developed it far more and more. But the next lot of songs that I'm currently writing, have come from a point of, I guess, inspiration, of family. That's where these ones are coming from, a point of inspiration rather than the point of discipline. But certainly I write in both ways. And yeah, it's good to have that ability just to sit down and write from a point of discipline, because sometimes you just have to keep doing it to get better at it, or I suppose.
Right.
Because it is an art, and it's not easy.
Absolutely.
You can get yourself a lot of the time,
Yeah. Do you get a lot of requests from writers, I guess? In a sense, Evan Carydakis, great, musician in Tasmania, or Australia. Let's go Australia now, forget about Tassie. Do you get a lot of, a lot of songs come your way that other people want you to potentially perform? Or
I've had one in recent times, which I declined because time-wise, I've already got the next 12 months planned out with the next 3 songs, because the production, writing, and recording, and that's going to be 12 months worth of work. And I did get a couple of requests to collaborate, actually, with vocalists, and I just said to them, I'll never say never, but just at this point in time, the same thing. The next 3 songs, from a scheduling point of view, the next 12 months are going to be taken up by, getting them produced and radio ready.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because when you're on a smaller budget, Paul, you're doing most of the things. Probably a couple of people, or mainly my brother's doing most of it, and I'm really concentrating on getting my parts ready, recording my parts, and getting the other musicians together to do the parts that we need, where he's doing all of the production.
Yeah. Okay. I want to, for the sake of our viewers, just play Groove House just in background music, if you're happy with that.
Absolutely.
Is that too loud for you guys? How's that, mate? Who would you say?
Yep.
Has been your single biggest influence in your life in getting you to where you are in your career today?
Gee, I guess to get me where I am today now, it's definitely my brother Stefan. As far as influence, he's really nailed it into me. What's required to get a good song out there from a studio perspective? I think, as from a live perspective, my great pal Brendan Simpson, guitarist, has been a great influence on me, because I've been playing with him here now for 10 years, and to have him, by my side and being steadfast, he's a great sounding board. He's very direct, and he's a great reference point for me as far as that, and he's been a great help getting my band and getting my tours together. He's been a great influence. My mother and father, of course, and my wife.
Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. That's a great Groove House. Currently in the background there, if you can hear, obviously you can hear it. It's the title track for the EP. We're just quickly around that. Who you got playing on accompanied artists on the album, on the EP?
On the EP?
Yeah.
On that one, we've got Carydakis, who's a great friend of mine on guitar, and he helped co-produce that song early on. Also, we had Nate Harrison play keys. We had a horn section of mates of mine from Melbourne who did the horns on Grand Central. We had Michael Oliphant on keyboards, and there was quite a lot of other guest appearances on that album.
Great, mate. It's an absolute great album, and I'll trickle through a couple of the other songs background. Groove House Tour, October, November, December. If you want to jump over to evancarydakis.com.au, you'll find the tour details. Book them, get behind it, support the guy. He's brilliant. Obviously in Tassie. You doing anything in Melbourne? Coming to Melbourne at all? Or that next year?
I've been speaking to a guy about that, actually. No, I'm planning it. You know what? Look, before COVID, I had an East Coast tour booked out from Melbourne to Sydney to Canberra to Brisbane. That got blown out the week. I mean, I think COVID hit the world a week after that, and everything just got blown out. So this time, we're going regional Tasmania. Then once we've got that bedded in, I've got the band bedded in, then Brendan's been pushing me, and I agree with him, to take the show nationally and then throughout, I guess, New Zealand and hopefully into Asia. But I'd love to be playing some of the songs in the States at a point in time in the future. But the plan's finish this tour, get Moving On tour going, get that nationally, and then hopefully into Asia, and then we'll take it from there.
Nice. So you're waiting for the invite for the big jazz weekend in California, I think it isn't it?
That'll be an honour and a privilege to get there. I tell you, that's a little while away, I reckon. But if I keep at it and keep getting out better performances and tunes that are me, which all these tunes are me, as long as I'm keeping being myself, I think that will come.
Yeah. Hey, Evan, for potential artists that are listening or young artists that wondering, what is it like? Is the performance Palais Theatre, Franklin, Tasmania, like, is the venue so important in the outset of the music that you play? Is that really important, or does it help?
I picked these venues specifically. You know why I picked them, Paul? Because they're historic, beautiful historic venues in regional Tasmania, and they're beautiful old theatres, and they've been magnificently kept and restored. And to be playing in them and shining a light on them, as well as my music, that's what the tour's about. They're just beautiful theatres, and I'm so looking forward to be playing in those theatres because they're magnificent.
Yeah, right. Yeah, wow. Well, I love that. See, there's your discipline. I think there's just some of those elements of not just great music and the effort and heart and soul you put into it, but also the ambience of the venues. Everything sort of falls into line, right? With Evan Carydakis. Yeah. Wow, it's amazing. Hey, if you just joined us, it's the Australian premiere of Moving On single. We'll definitely play that again as we come to a close. Absolutely awesome new new single from Evan Carydakis. Smooth Live Show, SmoothJazz.Melbourne. Check out our socials at any time. Don't forget to subscribe, but also to subscribe to the great man himself, Evan Carydakis. What's your YouTube channel, or what's your website details, mate? We'll put them up in the description as well.
It's evancarydakis.com.au. I'll type it in there. And then the YouTube is, if I look at that, I think it's AU Jazz. I'll have a look at it now. Hang on a tick. Evan Carydakis. I'm typing as we speak. It says, here it is. Evan Carydakis, AU Jazz. Evan Carydakis, AU Jazz on YouTube, and I'll just pause that. So, yeah, that's what it is.
Beautiful, mate. Awesome. Hey, Summer Days. Tell us a little bit about that. I was just, and again, if we go back to your performances in the live set, you've certainly the strength and the major in the live. Tell us a little bit about the Summer Days at St. John's Anglican Church.
Yeah, that's where we did that COVID safe event. It was during a little break in COVID lockdowns. We know everyone got locked down, some more than others, and that was a part of 3 songs that I wrote for that performance. I mean, we performed more than 3 songs, but there was 3 specific songs I wrote for that performance. Of course, one of them was Movin On, one of them was Summer Days, and one of them was Soul Survival. And I think the live video came out great, and the performance, it was just so good to be playing in front of, I think we had a capacity of 188 COVID safe patrons, and we did fill it out, and the acoustics were just beautiful. We used 808 Productions, Adrian Barrett, to do the sound. He just did a terrific job. The ambience and the acoustics were brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Very good. Hey, Grand Central playing in the background there from your EP, Groove House, another awesome track. Let me ask you a question, EC. So what would you define as the most life-changing event so far in your musical career? We're live here with Evan Carydakis.
Definitely getting involved with Sandy Shaw and Sue Parker and SmoothJazz Global. Getting involved with those guys and their team and getting my music out there to the world. My original music, my songs, that is definitely it. There's no doubt about that. It takes you on another path.
Absolutely. It's a whole new world, isn't it? It's a whole new world. Path, like you said. Yeah.
It's a whole new world, and you leave all the other stuff behind, and you're focused on a new sort of, just a new focus.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Mate, who's in your wish list of artists to perform with you? Who are they?
I'd love my brother to get on and play bass with us one day. There's a couple of drummers out there that I really like that I won't name, but I really like, and I'd love to be able to play with them. And maybe, I've always loved Kool and the Gang. You remember the Kool and the Gang?
Love
You ever seen them perform at the Java Jazz Festival?
Kool and the Gang, no, I haven't, no. Those earlier years.
There was one year in particular when they had this incredible drummer on, and that guy there, if I could get him playing with me on drums, that'd be the end. That'd be the ultimate.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Groovehouse EP tour is coming up October, November, December. Check it out, evancarydakis.com.au. I'm playing. I think this is quite a sentimental track for you, mate. Will I See You Again?
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's about when my mother passed away a long time ago. And life goes so quick. It's not just yesterday when she's gone, or my father's passed away as well. But there's that longing left. You always think, geez, that was such a big part of our lives. Is that it? Are we ever going to see him again? Is that it? Life goes by quickly, Paul.
That's right.
And it's so insignificant in some respects, life. It's not, I think about it in that perspective. It's so insignificant because it just goes by in a flash. But still, you said that, you're still measured by your deeds, and you still have to value it. But in some senses, I always thought it's insignificant in the overall scheme of things. There's just a longing, I guess. Will you ever see your parents again? Will you ever see your mum again? You ever see your dad again? Will you ever see your loved ones again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting question.
Yeah, no, that's right. Looking back on your life, I guess it's a precursor. What song or performance is the first you recall hearing or being affected by?
My first song that I'm being affected by. I guess I used to, growing up, I used to love Sting's music. And I remember when the Blue Turtles album came out. You remember Dream of the Blue Turtles?
Yes, I do, yeah.
I remember hearing that and hearing those guys playing on that album, like Kenny Kirkland and Branford Marsalis, and listening to that and thinking, geez, that's what I want to be. They were killing it on that album. That was a great album. I remember listening to that. And then later on, there was others. I remember listening to Paul Simon live in Central Park with that band, Richard T, Steve Gadd on drums, and Chris Bodie, the great smooth jazz trumpeter. He was on trumpet. Michael Brecker. Listening to that band and listening to that concert, for me, that was one of the premier performances in pop or crossover music history, live at Central Park. That one there, and there was but those two there, I'd have to say.
Phenomenal, mate. And so you've obviously performed live for many years, but what about the best live performance you've been to? So you watched that on Central Park, but the
best one I've been to, I would have to say, it's going to come back to those two guys again. Me and my brother and our friends, we saw Sting it was on the 10 Sumner's Tales tour. They had 4-piece band. They had Dominic Miller on guitar. They had Sting. They had David Sanctuous on keyboards and Vinnie Colaiuta on drums. And that band there, that was something else. And we did get to see Paul Simon bring that band out to, it was the old tennis center. He brought that band back to the tennis center on the Born at the Right Time tour. And that was an incredible performance. But I think really, if I go back, the biggest one was when me, my brother, my cousin, and Peter and Terry and our mates, we went to see Dire Straits, believe it or not, playing Brothers in Arms tour at the old, where they used to play basketball in Melbourne. I can't remember what the place was called. And it was on the Brothers in Arms tour. I think they'd sold out more concerts at that time, 26 in a row in Melbourne, Dire Straits. They had a guy called Chris White on saxophone, who was a killer player on that tour. And that show goes back to that show.
Yes,
That was a great show. Sorry, they're coming back to me now.
We're prodding you, mate. But is that's the glory of it all, though, isn't it? Just that great memories, and I'm sure that's the inspirations behind how you perform. You know, who you are as a performer today, Evan Carydakis.
I remember they opened the show with what was it called? Right Across the River, and the lights went out, and then that song started, and pandemonium broke loose. It was just so good. And by the way, I've seen Kiss perform live many times, and once at the Melbourne Grand Prix. And what those guys, not only do they write great songs, but they're just great performers. Also, George Benson at the Hilton Hotel in Melbourne.
Yep.
Earth, Wind and Fire at the Hilton Hotel in Melbourne. James Brown in Melbourne. Those guys.
Wow.
Just beautiful.
It's amazing. Phenomenal. Very fortunate. Yeah. Wow. What a lineup, hey? What a cross section. Very lucky. Yeah. Oh, well, mate, Evan Carydakis, congratulations on Moving On. So privileged to be able to do the Australian premiere. Thank you so much, mate.
You're very welcome.
And we would just love to hear about what's coming up in the foreseeable future. Mate, the last word for our viewers out there. What do you think? What's your last sentence you want to leave today with?
Firstly, thanks for having me on. Please, everyone, if you can, get behind Moving On. Listen to it on your favourite streaming channel, Spotify, Apple Music. It's all out there. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to sign up to my newsletter, there's a sign-up page there on my website. If you could get behind and support the new single, I would be greatly indebted to you all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's awesome, mate. Awesome. Hey, question I don't know if I asked you last time. Is it a hard copy coming out for a single or potentially for the next EP?
You know, at some point in time, I might release them all on hard copy.
Yeah.
But not at the minute. No, not at the minute.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Well, I'll drop some information in the descriptions, Evan, for you if you want to get in contact, obviously, and get behind this guy. He's absolutely brilliant. He's one of ours too. He's Australian owned. So I'd never forget that. I know I'm in mainland and you're in Tassie, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. It's all...
That was a foreign concept to me before I moved to Tassie. The mainland.
The mainland. And you don't like coming back to the mainland, right?
I haven't been for a while, but I've got, funnily enough, since all the COVID restrictions have lifted, but I've become sort of a little bit complacent by force of habit, and I have to break out of that, which we're planning to do, me and my wife.
Absolutely.
Well,
can I say, Evan, I don't think it's just you. I think it's a lot of people. You've come into this complacency and just staying home, or not venturing too far outside.
Yeah.
But I hope that the Groove House tour will be a major success. And to be honest with you, I'm going to think of coming over to Tassie to have a look. So, but I'm looking forward to catching up with you anyway, because we've got some other stuff in the pipe.
We have.
That we'd like to share down the track as we get a bit closer. But jump onto evancarydakis.com.au and /events. Check out his, get behind it and support Groove House tour. But congratulations again, mate, on Moving On. It's a wonderful single, and keep playing it, man. And if you want to jump over to our 24/7 radio at SmoothJazz.Melbourne, you'll hear it there, and you'll be able to, if you even want to request it, mate, and I'll play it just for you. We'll get it done. But so SmoothJazz.Melbourne. Check out my socials. Check out Evan's socials as well. Well, I'm going to leave you with Moving On again, because I love that. We're going to play it, and we'll finish off the show. And thank you again, Evan, for being on the program today. And
thanks for having me, Paul. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, mate. We'll be in touch. But again, congratulations to international smooth jazz recording artist, and we call him the jazz man himself, Evan Carydakis, with Moving On. And have a good Sunday. Stay safe.
Thanks, Paul.